are, and when I say who you are, of course we're gonna see your name, but like some of the history that you have, some of the jobs that you've had, why you're connected to the school, why you wanna run for the school board, and just kind of who you are in the community. I do wanna remind everyone that the election day is on Tuesday, November 8th. And then following that, before our meeting ends, because I know I probably won't get a chance to come back around and circle to this, our next neighborhood association meeting is on the 28th. And I met with the board and we discussed what we would like to do. And traditionally we do like a carry-in. So that is our plan for our next neighborhood meeting. So that is for November, and then in December we will not have a meeting. Okay? Where would we like to begin? Anyone that would like to go first?
Do it alphabetically.
Let's do this. Can we start, because we have some of you that are running at large, and some of you that are running to fill the seats. Okay. I'll let you guys fill in that information too. Explain that as well, because it's gonna mean more to you coming from you. The positions that are filling the 2 seats that are available, I believe.
At large.
There's 2 at-large positions, I just wanna make sure I got that right. And then there's 3 of you that are running District 1. So if those of you that are running for District 1 would like to go first. Are you at large by chance? At large?
I'm District 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do, don't interrupt, but I do realize some of you brought stuff that you would like to hand out or pass out or share. Do we wanna allow them to set that on the table, or do you want people to pass those things out quickly right now?
No, just leave them on the table, if they want it, they can take it.
I think that should be at the end.
So if you'd
If
like,
people want them, they can pick them up.
alright, so if you wanna set some stuff over here, you guys may go ahead and do that.
Okay, you want me to stand up?
Okay.
Okay. I'm Andrea Johnson, I'm running in District 1. I was born here in Goshen. I moved to Elkhart with my family, and I graduated from Elkhart Memorial in 1982. After graduation, I attended a professional school in Chicago, and when I came back to Elkhart, I opened the first mobile dog grooming business in northern Indiana. After a divorce, I moved back to Goshen because this is the community I wanted to raise my children in. I'm married. I've been married for 20 years to a Goshen police officer. Our blended family has his 2 children, my 2 children, and our youngest, who just graduated in 2021 from the high school here. My husband was the SRO at the high school for 18 years, so I have a deep connection through that experience. My daughter actually sits on the school board currently. She's not running again. I was appointed to the Goshen Redevelopment Commission by the City Council 4 years ago, and I currently sit as the Vice President on that commission. The reason I'm running for school board is pretty simple. I have been really distressed by the tone that our Goshen, or our schools have come under attack. There's been a lot of rhetoric directed at public schools that is really divisive, and I believe it has split the community. I believe that we should be supporting our teachers. By that, I mean completely supporting our teachers. I do not agree that we should be telling our teachers what they should teach, and every parent, while they should be involved, cannot be saying to a teacher, I want you to teach this. That's not doable. We have to have an education system that actually functions. I guess the thing that's most important to me is that every one of our students in this community is supported, and they feel welcome and safe, and they can learn and become the best that they can be, whether they go on to higher education or whether they enter our workforce. That should be the goal of our schools. And I truly believe that Goshen is a wonderful place for our kids to learn, and I want to continue that.
Hi, my name is Ryan Glick. I'm running for Goshen School Board District 1. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't join me tonight because she's been dealing with a difficult pregnancy and is at home sick. But my son here could make it tonight, so I'm very happy to have him with me. I was born and raised here in Goshen, though I've lived in Massachusetts, North Carolina, Texas, and Africa since then. So I've spent quite a bit of time experiencing other parts of the world, not just Goshen. But I came back in 2018 and have become involved in my local community, which is mostly Hispanic right now. And that's been just a real pleasure to me. I really, really enjoy my neighbors, and my son really enjoys his new friends that he's been able to grow in our neighborhood. And that is one of the main reasons I actually decided I wanted to join this race for the Goshen School Board, because I saw these children that are part of Model Elementary, part of West Goshen here, and I thought, these are the leaders of tomorrow. They're growing up, my son's growing up with them. I want to see them have the best shot at an education as possible. And I want to be able to bring some of the skills that I've learned as I've gone and been involved in many different types of business, both running my own businesses, working for large national companies, working for an international organization overseas. Take some of those experiences and bring a new set of eyes to the Goshen School Board. Noah Webster, who made the 1828 dictionary, defined education as that which brings together all the instruction and discipline which is needed for children to have an understanding, correct their temper, their attitudes, prepare them for the future, fit them for their future stations, whatever they work in. And I believe that is what the purpose of education should be in our schools. We should be teaching children how to read, how to write, how to do their arithmetic well, how to be problem solvers, critical thinkers, be able to compete on an international level. Right now, America is very much competing with other nations. Our students growing up, if they go into a factory, they might not have as much competition, but if they're involved in other types of industries, there's a lot of international competition. So I believe they need to have the best possible education they can get. And when I look at our current scores, I don't feel that that's the case. I know that we have a Hispanic majority in the Goshen schools, but I also believe that they're very intelligent people, just like my family. Everybody in my family's immigrant, but my wife has a master's degree. She's very intelligent. I think these children have a great opportunity here in the United States if they're given it. But when we're churning out children who in 3rd through 8th grade, they only have 25% proficiency in math and English, I don't feel like that's what they're being given. So I want to come in here, I want to work with the school board if I'm elected, and with the administrators, the teachers, parents, students, everybody. I want to work with everybody and look at other schools that have a similar demographic, other schools that have similar situations where they've had low scores but have been able to turn themselves around. Instead of trying to reinvent a wheel and say, well, we hope we'll improve it, we'll kind of improve it, let's look at schools that have been successful at improving their scores, improving the turnout of their students, improving their college readiness programs, and say, let's implement those things in Goshen schools. We don't have to run all on our own. There's lots of other schools out there that could give us great advice. I think we need to work better at defining what our goals are. What is our education? What is it that Goshen schools is supposed to do? If we are focused just on peripherals, having a nice band, having a nice graphical look, having a nice building, but we skip over the very core thing that we're supposed to offer people, which is education, we're going to find parents that don't want to send their kids here because they'll say, I could get an education better at another school. We have a voucher system. You can choose what school you send your kids to. If we have a breakdown of order and decency, respect, I know that there's a big issue with parenting in our culture and society, but we are having a breakdown in schools of respect towards authority, of respect towards teachers. That is not conducive to school learning. It's not conducive to children feeling safe in our schools, whether you're Hispanic, white, or any other ethnic group, there's going to be a flight from the schools because of that. I think we could turn that around. I could say a lot more things. I know I'm probably at my 3 minutes, so I just want to say go to my website if you want to find out more about why I'm running. It's ryanforgsb.com. I have some plans laid out there, things that we could look at. It's looking into other school systems to turn us around. I have a larger section on my platform, and some of you might have gotten this mailer, which I realize some people here have apologized for part of it. It has wrong information about me, about why I'm running. Go on there. I have a write-up completely on it. I also put some letters to the editor in that were printed today. So I appreciate your support and vote on November 8th. Thank you. And again, I'm Ryan Glick, District 1, Goshen School.
So my name is Angie McKee, and I too am running for District 1 and for Goshen School Board. I'm a lifelong resident of Goshen. I've been married to my husband Jim for 18 years. We've been small business owners, and more recently I spent 3 years as the clerk treasurer for the city of Goshen. I currently work for the city of Elkhart in a little bit of a different role, but still in government work. It's hard to follow and be last, but I guess I should have gone second, so I had Ryan go last. But my big thing is we have a shortage of teachers, and teacher retention is a problem. And we need to figure out why we're losing teachers to other school districts, or why we're losing teachers in general to other public businesses. I want to work towards that and dive a little further. It's always been said that people don't leave a business because of the pay, they leave business because of the management and administration. So I was asked why I was running for school board. It takes a village to raise a kid. We all know that. We've all had kids. I don't have kids currently in the school system, nor have I ever had kids in the school system, but my grandkids graduated from Goshen. My grandson went on to be a first lieutenant in the Marine Corps. My granddaughter is a senior at Purdue getting ready to go to law school. So I'm firmly invested in this school system. I think financial transparency as an elected official, whether you're at the city level or at the school board level, is important to us. We had an incident where we made this big deal that the school board was going to be short, the school was going to be short all these funds. Then we come back and say, oh, no, we're not going to be after all. That doesn't instill trust in our public. It doesn't instill trust in our parents looking to send their kids to the school system. So just lost my train of thought. The other concern that we all know that has happened is security in our school systems. I want to maintain the security systems that we have and always strive to look for better ways to keep our kids and our teachers and our staff secure. So my name is Angie McKee. I appreciate your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
So that is all the District 1, everyone else is at large, correct? All right. Keith, would you like to go first?
Sure.
And then can you explain how you would be filling in as an at-large?
Yeah, so at large is a position where you're voting citywide, so it covers all the districts, so we represent.
Well, can I add to that, Kate? There, just real quick, don't want to bore you with this. There are 7 school board members. There are 4 districts. So generally the district you're in is the Northwest. So every 2 years, 2 of the district reps are up for election, and either 2 of the 3 at large or 1 of the 3 at large. That makes sense?
Yes.
Just so you know, there are 4 districts, there are 3 at-large members. So every other year, every other 2 years, every other election, it's either 4 of us up for re-election or 3 of us.
Do you choose to run as at-large or District 1?
Sure, we do that when we file at the clerk's office.
And do you have to live in a district to be district?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry, Keith.
All right, I'm Keith Goodman, I'm running for school board at large, kind of a lifer here. A little bit more about me, my grandson who will be starting school this fall will be represent the 6th generation on my mother's side. I'm a commercial banker by trade, and as well as I've been on various boards for about 30 years now, about 30 years worth of experience at that. I think what that brings to the table, I think there's a number of different things here. One is leadership. You understand what being on a board needs to be. Also, is very important that you've got the listening skills to know what's going on, what's important to the people that you're representing, and how can we make things better. Because the bottom line is, in both of those things that I've done, is you've got to find solutions to the problems. Many of the things that the school board does is mundane. Many of the things that the school board does takes a lot of thought and a lot of preparation. And you've always got wild cards, right? COVID, new superintendent, all those other things that come out of. So I want to be a part of the solution as far as that goes. I'm running because I want to give back to the community. I mean, I owe Goshen Community Schools a lot. I am a graduate of Goshen Community Schools. My wife of 37 years is a graduate of Goshen Community Schools. We met in high school. She's a teacher here in Goshen, including 11 years teaching in the Riverdale, West Goshen school system. We have 2 children. Both of them are graduates of Goshen High School. My daughter was very scholastic, takes after her mother. We never had any issues with that. My son gave us academic heartburn, if you will. But he did graduate. The teachers did a magnificent job of working with both of them in the pathways that they chose, sticking with them, never giving up, finding something that kept them interested, and made them graduates of Goshen High School, and now they work within the community. There are challenges that are coming up for Goshen Community Schools. A good board member is going to be a leader and a valued teammate. We're going to accept the challenge. You're going to immerse yourself in being part of the solution. I guess there's a few things. What a good board leader does not do, we don't participate in a circular firing squad by pointing fingers at others. Okay, you've got to be a leader, and the focus has to be on finding solutions. We're not chasing the new shiny object that's out there. We've got to continuously master the basics first. You've heard there are issues with scores, and we need to continue to do that. The other thing is a good board member does not accept the status quo. We've got to focus on continuous improvement. Sometimes that means asking the tough questions and being out there and finding out what's going on. A good board member is going to offer you their knowledge, their life experience, their ethics, their time, to make balanced, common sense decisions. They're going to support the organization and the stakeholders, the students, the parents, the staff, and most importantly, the community. All those people want a return on their investment, whether you're walking the halls every day and going to class or paying the taxes to support the school. Everyone wants a return on their investment. That means that we've got to work as a team to educate the students. That means bringing everyone involved. Everyone gets a voice, and we have to understand where we're going with this. I volunteered for Goshen since high school. Okay, it's been 40 years, or almost 40 years. Currently, I'm the treasurer of the Goshen High School Building Trades. The career technology education part of Goshen High School is very near and dear to my heart. It did my son very well, and I enjoy working with those kids. So this is 75% of the kids that don't necessarily go to college and go out into the workplace, and we can give them skills through that department. We just had it renovated, and there's a lot of new space there to expand. Keep our kids in Goshen rather than send them to the Career Center, which costs us money. Okay. I'm also a member of the Goshen Noon Kiwanis. I've been doing that for about 15 years, and of course their mission is helping kids. So if you've been out to the fair and had a Goshen Noon Kiwanis burger, thank you very much. All that money pretty much goes to scholarships and other things that help kids. We appreciate that. Also working as a volunteer for Goshen High School, I'll tell you, nothing gives you an insight into the value of volunteerism and supporting the teachers and understand how much they appreciate that. And we've been able to do that for quite a few years. The other thing, when I know the elected officials, I've spent a lot of years developing relationships with them, and I'm going to continue to grow those. And my mission has been to always share Goshen Community Schools' story with them. We've got to work as a team, and that means bringing them on board, because those are the ones that are often making the decisions as to how much money is gonna be sent to the school. Those are the ones that control the tests that all of our students have to take. Those are the ones that are partially responsible for creating the teacher shortage that we have. But nonetheless, I think we're changing minds. I mean, there's definitely a mindset that is changing things. We had a chance to speak with several of elected officials, and I think things are changing. So when you continue that story, be advocates for the system. I think if we continue to do this, work with our teachers to keep things open up. We've got a great staff, we've got great facilities, we've got a great place to live and work, and I think we can continue to make that. But the focus has to be on what can we do to continuously improve those results? What can we do to continuously make Goshen the school of choice? I know their part of their motto is we want to make Goshen, give our students a world-class education, and we can do that. The tools are there. We just need to make sure that there's the teamwork to get the job done. And again, someone with good leadership skills is going to help pull those together and have honest discussions, sharing of the data. Sharing the data leads to better discussions with students, parents, teachers, and the rest of the community. That's going to lead to better results. Thank you. Appreciate your support. November the 8th. I do have more information. I have some information up here on the handout. I do have additional information with more details than what I've talked about tonight on my Facebook page. That's just Keith Goodman on Facebook. So appreciate everyone coming tonight. Thank you, Goshen, West Goshen Teachers, West Goshen Neighborhood Association. Thank you.
Mario?
Hello, my name is Mario Garber. I'm currently on the school board. I served for the last 4 years. This last year I've been the vice president. I work at Green Cross in Goshen and the retirement community, and I'm the director of culinary services. I have 2 daughters. One just graduated from Goshen. She is at Western Michigan, and I have a daughter that is a sophomore at Goshen High School. I'm a graduate of Goshen High School and Bethel College, Bethel University now. My wife Terry has been a teacher. She was a teacher in the Goshen school system for over 20 years. Most of that time here at West Goshen. She was a kindergarten teacher for a long time. And I tell you those things because those are my connections to the education world. So a little bit of insight from a teacher and their perspective. I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I have done some things in the community with Kiwanis and Salvation Army Board and things like that. But the bottom line for me is we know that we are a student-centered school. Everything we do is for the student. Every decision we make, we ask because it's best for the student. I believe the best way to take care of the student, though, is through our teachers. And so, as was mentioned earlier, we need to figure out how to recruit good teachers and how to keep good teachers in our system. And it's not just about salaries and benefits. We're lucky enough this morning, we signed new contracts, and we are very competitive in the area now. And so if teachers are considering Goshen versus a Concord or Elkhart, we are right in the mix. They're not leaving because of salary. They're leaving because of burnout, and they're leaving because of other reasons. And they're also just not getting into education right now. And so we need to figure out why that is. That would help affect the other things that I'm concerned about. We haven't talked about this for a while, but classroom size. If you've got teachers teaching big classrooms, it makes it harder to do one-on-one teaching, no matter what the subject is. So we need to figure out a way to get teachers here so we can affect those classroom sizes. We talked about fiscal responsibility. It can get complicated, the way the state has things set up, and how we pay for things. And I think that we've been very honest with the information that we've been given. There were times where maybe we didn't have the right information, we had to make decisions. The board right now, if we're being honest, we're not perfect. We never will be, no matter who's on the board. But we have to take those decisions, we can make those decisions based on the information we have. And we are now at a point fiscally where we can move forward, but still have to make decisions looking to the future. And what does that mean? It means sometime we're gonna be talking about a referendum again. Is that something that is fiscally responsible for Goshen schools? I can't stand here and say yes or no, but we have to get all that information. We're representing students and the teachers, but also you as a community. So let's make sure we get all that input from everyone, all the stakeholders, before we make important decisions like that. I think that's it in a nutshell. I have my flyers up here so you can kind of read through my other points. But if you don't remember anything else, remember the teachers, I believe, are the most important part of what we're trying to accomplish. And so voting for me is really a vote for those teachers. So I would appreciate your vote on whatever. Thank you.
I'm Roger Nafziger. I didn't grow up in Goshen, but I've been here for 49 years. And Lori and I have been married for 46 years. We've raised 3 kids, all went through Goshen schools, and our daughter-in-law, Kendra Ellington, also went through Goshen Community Schools. Her mother was the orchestra teacher for many years. We love Goshen. 2 of our kids still live here with their families. Third one says he'll probably come back when he's done in San Diego. We'll see. But we love Goshen, and we've been part of the community for a long time. Like Keith mentioned, I've also, in Kiwanis, I've served on a number of boards. I was on the Goshen Board of Zoning Appeals for 16 years. So I've been involved in the community. But what I really want to focus on is not so much about me and my background, but whereas what I think is most important for the school board to pay attention to. Number one, a school board really has 3 functions. You oversee the finances, you hire and fire the superintendent, and you set policy. Other than that, you pretty much stay out of the way. I was told early on, don't walk into a classroom at West Goshen schools, at West Goshen Elementary. As a school board member, the teacher wonders, what in the world are you doing here? You know, and the principals are very nice. They say, come and visit anytime. But as a school board member, we need to realize that our job is not to get down at the classroom level and to dictate what a teacher does or doesn't do. Our job is to set policy. Back to the finances. We were living beyond our means. We were not getting good information for a number of years. And with a new CFO, Bob Evans, Dr. Evans, that has really come into focus. We were not getting clean audits from the State Board of Accounts. We are now getting a clean audit for the past years, and it's been a lot of work that has gone into that. And because we are now living within our means, and we can look forward, we can give the teachers the largest raise at Goshen Community Schools than they've had in years. Can't say what that is yet, but we just, as Mario said, we just approved that this morning, and it's really exciting that we will be very, very competitive in the area. But having said that, one of my roles as a board member is to continue to advocate for public schools. Since 2011, when we completely changed how public school education is funded in the state of Indiana, Indiana has fallen behind. And it was all done in the name of parent choice, and vouchers were started, and in fact, in the last General Assembly, vouchers were expanded. And the idea is that if parents have more choice where their kids go to school, overall achievement is going to go up. And the fact of the matter is, in the state of Indiana, in the last 10 years, overall achievement in the state of Indiana, as compared to other states, has really not gone up. I think we need to continue to advocate, and we have wonderful private schools. I know people at Elkhart Christian, at Bethany Christian. We have wonderful private schools, But I think we need, as public school board members, we need to continue to advocate for better funding for public education and particularly urban schools. There are two factors that dramatically affect kids' ability to learn. Whether they're living in poverty and family finances are tight, and if they're learning English. And it's true, everybody wants to improve our test scores. But if you look at schools in Indiana that have similar demographics to ours, we are at the top. We are at the top. Logansport Schools has very similar demographics as far as English language learners and kids in poverty. And we beat them in our state mandated tests. So the idea of not focusing enough on teaching kids to read and pass and get these test scores up, I take some offense to that, because our teachers are doing a fantastic job at that, a fantastic job. And it's not a matter of, well, I'm gonna stop there. The second thing I would say is that as a school board member, and when we set our policy, I want to make sure that every single student that comes to Goshen Community Schools, that comes through the door, is supported and feels like that they can achieve at Goshen Community Schools, no matter who they are, no matter their ethnicity, no matter all the other factors that go into that. We want to make sure that every student has a chance to succeed. And some would say that we need to focus more then on treating them the same if we want them to succeed. And the fact of the matter is that kids have a lot of different needs. And included in those needs are all kinds of issues that have nothing to do with a test score. It has to do with, the term now it's floated around is called social emotional learning. We have counselors at our elementaries. When I grew up in the 60s, there was a kid in my class. I went to a small school in Ohio. So I was in grade school with Timmy. And Timmy did not have the same needs as I did. I did fine. I only got whacked by my first grade teacher once. But she had a stick and she hit me on the leg. Boy, that stung. I can still feel it all these years later, 60 years later. But Timmy was spanked almost every day. He was spanked almost every day because he wasn't achieving and he wasn't paying attention. Now, did Timmy have the same needs as me? Good Lord, no. And yet that's what some would say we need to do in our schools. We need to treat everybody the same, disregard the social emotional learning, treat them the same and get the test scores up. And it's more complicated than that. And when we set policy, and as a school board member, we have to pay attention to that. Thanks. Again, Roger Nafstinger is my name. I live on South 6th Street. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Good evening, I'm Brian Kreider. I'm running at large. I live down the road about a mile, so I'm kind of in the neighborhood, not in the neighborhood association. So I was born in Elkhart, just spent 3 days there, so don't blame that on me. Came over here to Goshen, born and raised here in Goshen all my life. Married my beautiful wife, and we've been married for 22 years. Jenny Huber Kreider is her name. Pat Huber is her mom. She was a teacher for 33 years at Waterford. So that's kind of my only endorsement that I've received that I actually have wanted. I've been offered many endorsements, but I said, nope, I only want Pat Huber. So my two of my 4 sons are here. Max Kreider, who's a senior at Goshen High School. Jack Kreider, who's a freshman. They joined me this evening, so I appreciate them. A little bit about me. I went to Goshen, graduated in 1995, went to Purdue for a couple years, and like many, probably in this room, and many like me, decided to leave college early. I got into the workforce after a couple years at Purdue. Grew into in the RV industry, of course, here in Elkhart County. Grew my way into a couple different jobs. In 2008, when the RV industry started to decline, myself and some business partners founded a business called Bensoft Pretzels. And we've been able to grow that. We've been very blessed to grow that. And currently, after seeing some of the dynamics going on in our schools, back in January, some people said, hey, have you thought about running for school board? And I thought about it because after sitting in school board meetings for about 2 years during the COVID pandemic, and me looking behind me saying, why am I the only parent here? Why are there no more parents here at the school board meetings? I thought to myself, well, maybe I should, because I have no agenda in this other than my kids. Like I said, I have 4 boys, and they deserve better than what we currently are seeing in our schools and our school boards. We have great teachers, and like some of the folks that have spoken so far have mentioned, our teachers are at a minimum right now. My freshman Jack is going to biology every day without a teacher. That kind of stinks. There's no biology teacher. So unfortunately, he's doing all of his work, and he's doing it, I think, in the cafeteria now with no teacher. That's unfortunate, and we've got to change that. And the thing is most of the teachers that I spoke to, and I've talked to a lot of teachers when I decided to run for school board, and I spoke to a lot of teachers, a lot of principals. I said to them, hey, you're a shareholder in this. You know, board members need to talk to all their shareholders, because they're the voice of the shareholder. That's what a board member does, like everybody has talked about. I said, what is wrong? Like everything, there's a lot of good that's going on in Goshen, but what's wrong? And a lot of them are like, the communication between the school board, the administration, and the teachers is horrible. And that's one thing that has to change in Goshen. And that starts with the board of directors, right? Any publicly traded companies, that is where it starts, is the board of directors. And that's one of the reasons why I think that I would be a good candidate for a school board, is because that's where it starts. We hear a lot about listening, and a school board can and can't do this, a school board can and can't do that. And I agree with that. But the school board has to take action on a lot of things, right? And one of the things that I think that needs to happen is communication is horrible in our school district. We need to change that. What goes out from the school board to the community, what goes out from the school board to the teachers, that needs to change. And that's one of the things. Every teacher that I spoke to that left, and I spoke to probably 25 teachers that have left our school district, did not leave because of money. Did not leave because of money. They left because of the other influences outside of this. And one of the big things I'm running on as well is we need advocacy out of our classrooms. We need advocacy out of our classrooms. We don't need people's social, political agendas in our classrooms, okay? We don't need teachers bringing in their social agendas. We don't need it. It needs to be out of there. And that's why teachers are leaving. They're leaving because of things like that. We need to stop that. One of the things that I will bring to the table is, again, some board experience. I won't bore you with all my board experience, but I'm on a national board in the restaurant industry. I go to Washington, D.C. and stump in the swamp twice a year. I do go down to the State House. One of the things that I don't believe that our board is currently doing effectively is talking to our state level leaders and saying, hey, you need to change the funding for our teachers. You need to give our public schools more money, and effectively doing that. I don't believe our school board's doing that now. And we need to change that. We need leadership that at a board level, at an executive level, can do that. One of the other things that I believe is hurting us is the public-private relationship. We need to go get money for public and private relationships, and the board can do that. That's one of the things I believe the board can do. The other thing is, too, I want to make very clear that some of the things that my sons are afraid of in the school system is the safety and security. Something that nobody is talking about right now in this election is the gang violence. There's gang violence in our schools. We hear a lot about what people are saying, hey, this is what I'm scared of in school. It's not about some of this stuff. It's about gang violence. My kids have to worry about is there going to be a gang violent fight at every lunch. That needs to be continually addressed, and Goshen's done a great job. We just need to keep our eyes on the prize with that. And the second thing is that nobody's addressing, that needs to be addressed immediately, is why kids are leaving and the effect on funding that has. I spoke on the way here. I had my 18-year-old drive me here today because I was on the phone with 2 parents that are saying, hey, I'm sending at break, I'm sending my kids to either Concord or Northridge because of an event at school. And I'm like, hey, you can't do, we talked about it, but kids are leaving our schools, our public schools, because they're not happy with how we are running our school system. So I'm over time. I apologize. Brian Kreider, at large. I appreciate it. I hope you have some questions.
I'm Linda Hartman, and I'm the short guy, so I'm the last. So thank you for having me come to speak tonight. I also live right down the street on Tulip. I've been here since 1971, not at Goshen high school graduate, I'm married a Goshen high school graduate, however. I'm not gonna bore you with a huge amount of credentials, I have them here in a stack if you would like to take one. I am a former teacher, I do have a BA, I have 3 master's degrees, and 2 of them are in education, so I think I kinda know a little bit what's going on in education. So I will let that lay here if you would like that. All parents want the best for their kids. We're all in the same boat, so we're all on the same page. It doesn't matter the race, the color, the creed. Parents want their children to be safe, and they want them to be educated so they can excel at the American dream. And I'm gonna discuss a little bit of that tonight, because I have a lot of ideas, and I think they're good ideas, but I won't be able to get through all of them in 3 minutes. If you remember Clara Geller from 1984, she was the old lady that pulled up at the Wendy's and she said, "Where's the beef?" You remember that? How many of you remember that? Okay, so I've been asking the board for the last 4 years, where's the beef? Because I keep hearing this stuff and I don't see it materialize. So one of the reasons I decided to run for school board is because I'm gonna see the beef. Okay, so test scores. Test scores have been horrible in the county, and it's not just Goshen Community Schools, it's in the county. I have the charts here. If you have not had access to them, I have 20 copies. If you can take one per family, that would be great. We have got to get those up because in 2014, you'll see that everything just totally fell off. That was long before COVID. So we keep saying, why is our test scores like this? Oh, well, that's because of COVID. No, it's not because of COVID. It happened in 2014 and they continue to drop. If we continue to drop at this level, we cannot sustain what we're trying to do. So we've got to get our scores up. Safety, we spent $100 million in buildings since 2018, and every one of you that are taxpayers are paying about 70% out of your pocket for public schools. And I hear you say, why are we spending that? We're not getting our rate of return. Our kids aren't doing what we need them to do. Why aren't we doing this? That's my question too. So again, I'm gonna ask, where's the beef? Last year, we had 3 female students taken to the hospital for drug overdoses at Goshen High School. One of those girls almost died. Why? Because students are hiding their vapes in the bathroom and other students are putting other drugs in, which could make a lethal combination. Kids are smoking pot. Parent picked up their kid from school and he was high. Kids are afraid to use the restrooms. Kids are afraid to go down certain halls because sexual groping is commonplace. The responsible principal was that responsible principal is appointed to assistant superintendent. Does that make any sense? Kids are unattended in classrooms, and some of our kids are taking naps during the school day because there's no teacher in the room, like Brian talked about. I just talked to a teacher about that yesterday. One male student had someone grab his crotch and the other ones laughed and the teacher did nothing. Student suicide is in epidemic proportions. I ask the board, where's the beef? Because it can't just be 2 things. Glenn, I know you're on me over there. Curriculum. At the League of Women Voters, one of the candidates said that he spends an hour looking at an agenda during research before meetings. We gotta spend more time than that, board. We have got to know what's going on. There was a curriculum that was floated, and we did the back research on that, and it was full of CRT and that kind of stuff. And so we said to the board, why are we even looking at this? And they said, well, we didn't really know. Where's the beef? We've got to know where the beef is. The board has to know. Spanish-speaking students. We have over 50% in our population. It is unfair for us to expect them to walk into a full population of students and expect them to excel when they can't even understand the English language. We have got to do better. Riverside School is a perfect example. It became Merit Center. We need to have places that we can set up school that we can do some entry-level things so that those kids feel like they can be competent in the classroom when they finally arrive. Maybe a semester would do that. Teachers, I've talked to gobs and gobs of teachers. Why are they upset? Because of lack of respect in the classroom. Johnny comes into class, he's having a bad day, he has behavioral issues. The teacher sends the student to the office, student comes right back, there's been nothing done, so the student continues to act like that. That's why teachers are leaving. If they can't be respected enough, that the administrators are going to make a difference, and they're gonna say, listen, we're here to learn, and this is what we're going to do. I think it was Roger that mentioned, all kids have different needs. Absolutely, we find that out, and we take care of that. The board is like a cabinet to the presidents. If I were the superintendent, which I never have any ambition to be, I don't want to be, but I would say to them, look, there's 6 of you or 8 of you here, you each bring 2 ideas next time that we're gonna fix this problem. And I think that's how things get done. So those who are on the current board and running again, we failed our students and our parents and our taxpayers, and it doesn't matter how many sporting or band events we have attended. It doesn't matter the charitable organizations, it doesn't matter. We've got to quit hiring consultants and promoting everyone to a title and a salary. We're administratively top-heavy. Take part of those administrators, put them back in the schools, and let them be master teachers and let them help the other teachers become what they want to be. That's what's gonna help fix it for students. We lost 272 last year. If you figured $11,000 per, how much that is, and calculated that over 13 years of a student's career, that is a huge amount of money we've lost. We lost because they went to fail Fairfield because of masks at the beginning of the year. We had lost students because they weren't safe here, so the parents took them to other places. So we have got to, these are tough issues that we have got to talk about in the community. We need to have teacher forums. Let the teachers talk to the board members. That's okay. You know, we need to find out what they're thinking about. We don't know what they deal with on a day-to-day operation. When I was a teacher, I would say, how do you know what it's like in my classroom? You've never been there. So we have got to take some sort of advice from the others. But anyway, if you're content with the way things have been, just, you can go vote for the incumbents, that's okay. Oh, I did want to announce, this is my son-in-law up here. His name is Jay, and he's taking me on a cruise in 2 weeks. And this is Ryan, he's my friend, I've only known him for about 8 weeks. So he got the blame that he's my son-in-law, he's not, Jay's my son-in-law. So, anyway, we appreciate your vote on November 8th, and I really have a lot of good plans, and I work well with Dr. Hope, and I've been talking to him about some of those plans, so. If you need handouts, they're up there.
Alright, so I'm gonna share a little bit about me, some things that most of you don't know. I actually grew up in a small town on a farm, and the teacher that I had in school, in elementary, middle school, and high school, was the same teachers that my parents had. So when I was growing up and going through school, I thought, once I got into a teaching position, like, that was it. That was the dream, that was the only job I ever needed to have. So I was a distance runner, and I ran for Goshen College. And then when I graduated, I tried to get into teaching. So I taught at the high school, I taught at the middle school, I taught at Prairie View, I was at Chandler, I was everywhere. And I kind of worked from a position called like a paraprofessional, which is one-on-one, helping someone. And it's one of those students with special needs. I worked in special education with the ED kids, so those were like the severe, intense, aggressive children. And I didn't want to get stuck in special ed, so I didn't actually continue with my special ed license because I didn't want to be confined to only special ed classrooms. I thought I had more opportunities if I didn't pursue that extra certificate, which kind of held me back. But when I took a title position, they cut the hours down so that those people that were not official classroom teachers, their hours were dropped just enough that we didn't get health insurance. So I was officially, I was offered health insurance, and then they rescinded that and said, never mind, we're dropping everyone in the district's hours, all the paras, the Title Is, they couldn't get that health insurance. So then I took on as much side jobs as I could because I had to pay for that out of pocket. I actually worked with Keith's son. I coached at Goshen High School, and I was track and field coach. Is that my timer? I was an assistant coach for 4 years, and then I was the head coach. And I'm gonna overshare this, but when I was coaching there, I had a miscarriage and I had no insurance. And so I was in a horrible position, I didn't know what to do. So when I got pregnant again, I left. I was like, I can't continue just not being able to pay everything and all of the insurance, the medical expenses. So I went to South Bend, and I'm assuming no one here is from South Bend, but I lived there for 6 years and the schools were terrible. When I went in for a staff meeting, the principal was like, I don't care what you do, you can yell at your kids, you can scream at them, just shut the doors. I just don't want to deal with you, just leave me alone. And so that was the expectation, it was just whatever. And at the time, I got pregnant again. And I was like, this is great because I have insurance. But I didn't feel safe teaching. And at the time I was teaching first grade, which was at Willard Elementary, which is over by the airport. And I dropped my first graders off in the cafeteria. I I left for my lunch break, and I was just like, hey guys, gotta go eat as much as I can, because I was pregnant. I was like eating under my desk, I was eating all that. And when I got back, they were like, oh, just so you know, little Anthony's not here. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? They're like, well, he was stabbed while you were gone. And I was like, well, what happened? And they're like, well, you know, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I was like, well, he should have been in the cafeteria. And they're like, oh no, that's where he was. It was just a random. And I couldn't imagine, being from a small town, how another random 6-year-old would stab another one. And so I didn't feel safe there. There were guns all the time. I wanted to get out at the end of the day, but they had lockdowns. So when the school closed that I was teaching at, and I don't know if you guys all remember this, because this would have been 6 years ago, they had 5 schools closed in South Bend because there was a lot of kids that moved to Penn District, Mishawaka, and they just all left because of all of the violence and stuff that was happening. And when that took place, my school was going to close. And I talked to my husband, and I remember holding my belly for my second child, and it was our daughter, and I said, what do I do? I was like, I'm going to be offered another job, but do I take it? And he said, no, just stay home. So I decided to stay home. I started doing more photography, which is something I've done forever, and I started doing that full time. So I do that now. I've been fortunate and super blessed to be able to stay home. My last child is now in school at West Goshen. We do have 4 kids. We have 1 at Penn, we have 1 in a private school, 2 in Goshen schools. They're all in 4 different sports, so I'm super busy. But that's kind of my history, and I know that you guys brought up there's teachers that are leaving. I know, is it Brian?
Yes.
You mentioned that money wasn't one, and money wasn't one. For me, it was the insurance. But I just kind of wanted to overshare and throw some of that stuff out here, because that's my own personal experience in the schools. If I had a choice of going back, no, I wouldn't. But if I had a choice of finding every opportunity to support my kids and all of the kids in the community, absolutely. So I'd like to show up as much as I can, just not in the classroom. We did move back to Goshen last year, so I've only been back home about a year now. So, just a bit about me. I do want to open up questions as quick as possible. You are limited to just 1 question.
Per person?
Per you. Glenn?
This is for all of the candidates. Do you think it's fair to the taxpayers of the district, of a district, for a school board member to move out of the district after they're elected and still serve on the school board, or should they resign because they don't live inside the district that was elected, that elected them? Now, for you at-large people, that doesn't count, but I'll take any answer.
Well, the first thing I would say is that goes by state statute. So if, I'm not sure that in Elkhart County, the Elkhart County Clerk of the Courts is the one that oversees the elections. His name is Mr. Anderson. And my guess is he is bound to follow the law in the state of Indiana. And I'm just guessing here, Glenn, I don't know if this is true, but I would guess that by state statute, he would not be able to remove someone from an office if they moved a district. I'm guessing at that. I don't know, maybe some others have a different take.
I would also say, in my case, I lived in District 3, so I'm representing 3 now, but then we've moved since I was elected. I can't run for 3 because I was there last time. I run for where I'm at now. And so I moved in the middle of my term. They don't do anything special. They say the next time, if you run again, you can't run for that district. You're running for where you are currently. So I either would have to run for District 4, which isn't running, or change to at-large. So there's rules in place for people that move. But unless I think you move out of the system completely, I don't know that you follow the rules is.
I think the question was if it's fair. I mean, the way I look at it, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of choice depending on life circumstances. Like for for example, I'm in District 1, it's an extremely small district. There might be a circumstance where I was forced to move, and to limit yourself to such a tiny little geographical area might be difficult. You could still maintain a connection to the district that you ran for. You just have to work a little bit harder at it.
Any other questions?
Okay. My question is for Ryan. You mentioned about getting back to more like reading, writing, arithmetic, and that being very important, which of course it is. But I was wondering also about like the extracurricular stuff, because like my daughter lives for that, for orchestra, and like that's all of what draws her to school. So I mean, where do the extracurriculars come into it?
I think they are very important. I mean, a well-rounded education is going to have those different things in it. But if that is so much of a focus that you leave the focus on your core thing, which is the education itself, you have things out of balance. So that's my reason for staying it that way. I mean, we spend lots and lots of money, and it's not just on sports, it's on buildings and other things like that, when we're failing, I believe, at actually getting children really educated. So we've seemed to take the position that the building is going to make them better educated, because that's where we put our money. I mean, if you follow the money in a business, you can see what that business's core product is, what their drive is, because you look at how they spend money. So if most of our money is, or enough of the money that we have is getting put to those other things, that we actually cut down on our education itself, I think we've got a problem. So we can have a great band, but if they don't know how to have critical thinking, if they don't know how to function at proficiency in math and English, when they graduate, what will they do? Right. And then we'll be like the French, like we can. I mean, some people can be musicians and make a living, but we can't have an entire school of musicians making a living on it.
I understand.
So it's not that we have to cut them, it's just that we need to focus our core efforts on the thing that's gonna make them successful after they leave school. And being a great musician, it's healthy for your brain, it's healthy for your family if you can have a musical family, but it's not necessarily what's going to make it so that you can survive once you leave school and you don't just have a band to be part of. And that's something I think, especially for these kids who have come from other cultures, coming to America, they came here oftentimes because they wanted something that they didn't have in Mexico or other places in South America. If they come here and they want that ability to excel, to have, if you call it the American dream, to be able to make enough money to live and do the things that they dream of, but then they're not being taught in the system that they're giving, they tend to be set up for failure. And I don't see that. I mean, when I look at my wife and her coming here to America, she got asylum here in the United States because of the Civil War in her country. And she came here for education. She wanted that freedom that she could have here in America, the safety that's provided. I don't want to see these kids lose that opportunity.
Can I add just real quick? Again, by state statute, the percentage of funds that we get from the state that we must spend on the classroom is dictated. There's a certain ratio that we must spend a certain amount in the classroom, and Goshen Community Schools exceeds that ratio. So the idea of having buildings that takes away from teachers it's just not the way the system works, period. It's not. They're different funds, they're separate funds.
Any other questions?
Yeah. To you, ma'am. You spoke about difficult situations that you see that's a problem. My problem is book banning. I hate that. I am disgusted with that. Literally, especially when they're banning Anne Frank. That is the most important book in history. They ought to read it. And some of the other books written by survivors, they're important. History is important. You have to learn history in the disgusting aspects. You cannot gloss over the disgusting. You have to add the disgusting, because that's what history is.
I completely agree with you about book banning, okay? I completely agree with you that our children need to learn our history, not a whitewash version of our history, but our actual history. Our kids are perfectly capable of understanding that they are not responsible for the terrible things that happened in the past. They need to know about those things that happened in the past, otherwise, I mean, what's the saying? Those who fail to learn from their history are bound to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
As far as book banning goes, I absolutely cannot imagine what the purpose would be for banning Anne Frank. I can't imagine. I also heard that there is a school system that has banned a book, Girls Who Code. This is, I just can't, the reasoning was, it was pushing girls into sciences, and they didn't think that that was the job of the school to push girls towards sciences. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. The job of we are supposed to be turning out well-rounded students. We are supposed to be turning out well-educated, free-thinking students. But they also have to be prepared to move into a world that's not Goshen. We need to have our kids be exposed to other ideas that they are not going to be exposed to just here, just in school bed. And I would like to address one more thing. Yep, this flyer. The unfortunate son-in-law, indirect son-in-law. I wish I could tell you how many people expressed to me that you two were related. I have no idea where that came from. I heard it when I was canvassing. I completely offer my sincerest apologies for that. I have no idea where that came from. As far as the rest of the stuff on here, the reasons it pushed people to that website for Purple Parents. Purple for Parents believes in banning books. Now, whether or not these candidates specifically believe in banning books, they are endorsed by Purple for Parents, and that organization just recently rescinded an endorsement for an Indiana school teacher because that teacher wasn't tough enough on social emotional learning. So they rescinded their endorsement. Three of the candidates that are going to be up for our school board are endorsed by this program. This program pushes ideas that are, I think, are extreme. And they also push the idea of religion being brought into public schools. Now, people are gonna say, you know, maybe our schools could use a little bit of religion. Maybe they could use a little bit of Christianity. The problem with that is there are over 200 different types of Christianity in the United States alone and 25,000 different ones worldwide. So whose type of Christianity gets to be the one that's there, that gets pushed in the schools? And then what about the students that are not religious, or that are Jewish, or that are Muslim, or that are any of the other religions out there? If religion is brought into schools because it will be beneficial to a student, then, in other words, you're saying that you're going to benefit the Christian students over the other students. That can't happen. That just can't happen. We must keep religion out of our schools, because the best way to corrupt any religion is have it become part of a state institution. It should not be there, and I believe that firmly.
I got a question
Okay.
for all of you. So, part of the question involves dealing with purple parents. You mentioned it was now. But
feel that you don't understand what really they're trying to do. Because the books that they really want to get rid of are filled with pornography. Do you think it's okay for my daughter right here? She's 9 in 4th grade. Do you think it's okay for a 9-year-old to have access to a book that talks about sex, that talks about a teenage girl being forced to perform oral sex on her boyfriend? I can tell you, it's in Goshen Library, the school.
Has
library.
your 9-year-old daughter ever brought home a book like that?
Has
As
my
a
daughter?
teacher?
No, but
Okay.
is it available?
That
to
is
get?
the point. You talk about whether or not it should be available. And I don't believe that any 9-year-old is getting assigned books by their teacher about that. But if your child brings home a book that you find inappropriate, as a parent, I believe in your right to say, sweetheart, we're not gonna read this book. This is not for you. You're not old enough. That is your right as a parent. But it is not anybody's right to impose their views on other people's children.
But yet, if I was to walk up to anybody's here kid and show you pictures, I'd be arrested. So,
What did-
no. So, I do find it ironic that you won't even give me the opportunity to speak.
No, please.
No, you're not.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ask a question. So you said that it's not the right of the school board to limit what is available. The parents could say, no, you can't bring it home, but it's not the right of the school board to limit it for it to be available. There are institutions in the world who have schools set up to teach you how to build IEDs, how to commit terrorist attacks, etc. Do you believe it's acceptable for those books under the First Amendment to be in a school provided for children?
Are those books in the school, Mr. Floyd?
No, they're not. Why are they not in the school?
It has nothing to do with
No,
anything.
answer the question. Why?
Book banning is
it's wrong.
different than saying
No,
to a
it's
child, here is
It's
a
wrong.
diagram on how to build a
And
bomb.
here's a diagram of how to have illicit sex. It's wrong. It's
I'm gonna
wrong.
actually stop you guys there. We did have another question. We're gonna move on. I understand that that's a sensitive topic.
I don't even
don't
feel
wanna
my
get
question
into the
really
middle
got
of that
answered,
in
to be
detail.
honest. I have a
So I'm
question.
gonna go ahead and open it up back here.
About the card that was mailed out, being an elected official, I would have to say that it's your guys' fault for not going to the source and asking the source directly before you print something about it. And I don't know if that was your fault or if it was the person that wrote that, Mr. Kaufman, if it was his fault, that he didn't do it. And the other question, my question, I guess, is, why was this paid for by them? And why was the teachers union addressed to try to help pay for it?
I don't know.
When you say paid for by them, who are you referring to?
I believe there was 2 people that put money into that to pay for it.
There are people that have put money into our campaign committee funds.
And that's usually 4 or 5 people.
That, the 4 people that were on the mailer, it was paid for by, either by us individually or by our campaign funds. And we will disclose by 12/31, as everyone here is required to do, we will disclose by the end of the year where the money came from and where it went, all receipts and disbursements on our campaign funds. That's again, a matter of state statute, and we will do that. And we're all following the law on that. It's,
Now,
when you say paid for by them, there are a number of people that have contributed to my campaign. I can't speak for the others, I don't know their finances. But I'm gonna pay my share of that mailer from my campaign funds, and it came from a number of sources. Completely above board, completely legitimate, following the law, everything is recorded.
I guess just the reason I'm asking that is because I've that there was some names that were taken off so they wouldn't be on there, that had paid for it?
No,
No? Okay. That's why I'm saying, I'm coming directly to you and asking you about it.
it was paid for by the candidates and by our campaign funds. Where that money came from was from a variety of donors, so there are other money that they have, other people that have given money to our campaigns, just like I suspect there is for everybody here.
I can just real quick say that I'm self-funded. I don't have any campaign contributions.
Self-funded.
But I'm not, again, I'm not taking any money from any sides in this. I'm neutral,
I have
agnostic.
6 brothers and sisters, that's where I got mine.
I just want to be very clear on that.
And this was, I guess it looks like, came out and looked like that this, you know, the school board is supposed to be bipartisan, and the push behind you guys is all Democrat. And,
I don't know that, yes, the school board is supposed to be bipartisan, and that's how the school board operates. But there are people who are like-minded about strictly the philosophy, and if they happen to be more on the Democratic side, that's just the reality of the situation. And as far as you saying, you know, it's our fault, yep.
It is.
Yep, my fault for not, I mean, I approved this, I looked at it, I had heard that one little snippet that they were related, honestly, that was meant to drive as many people to the Purple for Parents website as possible. That's
and I
what
heard the
this
same
is.
thing. I heard the same thing, that they were related.
But
But
I heard it while I was canvassing.
I went directly to the source and talked to Ryan about it.
Well, unfortunately, that I didn't.
Yeah.
And I apologize for that, but I can only apologize for it. That it certainly wasn't malicious. I can't imagine why it would be malicious to say they were related. It was just a
Can I point out
fact.
why that is malicious? The
Okay.
fact that you're basically saying Ryan and Linda related, both running for school.
Have an agenda.
As an, yeah,
My daughter
Is that
on the
illegal?
school board. I don't
Is that
find
against,
that-
any, I mean, huh?
It's not
Well, I don't know.
I don't
I'm
care
asking, what's the
about
big
their
deal?
relationship. I care about their politics for the board. That's what I care about.
Then
All
why
right,
is
we
it-
have time for one last question.
Okay, I don't really have a question, but I do have a statement. I don't have any children in the school system. I do have grandchildren. They don't go to Goshen. I went to Goshen. I liked Goshen. I don't like Goshen now. But your comment about not having religion in school, I will totally disagree with you on that. I believe there should be. And this flyer you had out, when I read that, it came across to me as purple for, what's it called?
Purple for Parents.
Purple for Parents was a terrible organization, so I looked it up. The banning of books, to me, I agree with banning books if they are pornographic. Totally. What I hear is in the school system, I'm totally against that. Banning Corrie ten Boom and Frank, no. That's history. That should never be banned. I don't believe Purple for Parents is trying to ban history books. They're trying to ban books that are degrading to our children. And
Purple for Parents.
that, you can have your opinion and I can have mine.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. That book paper, that flyer, as far as I'm concerned, was totally misleading.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In my opinion, totally misleading. And from my point of view, if you endorse that, I don't endorse you.
On that note,
I think you should let her have her question.
I have a question.
go ahead.
This is for Mrs. Johnson.
Wow.
Would you read the first 4 lines of the paper, please? Out loud?
No.
Why
I
won't
will
you?
not.
why not?
This book is in our school library.
Because this is sensationalistic and you're trying to get me to say
You won't
something
read
out
it?
loud. There are
Why won't you read
children
it?
sitting here.
It's in the children's library.
It's in the children's.
That's in the Goshen High School Library. Would you read those excerpts out loud, Mrs. Johnson?
No, she doesn't need to.
We already
That's my
understand why
question, that's my question, will you read those out loud?
It's
And I
so
can't
bad,
ban
I
it.
can't read
You
it.
don't want to ban any
So we won't
books.
make this a debate tonight. This is just everyone voicing why they're actually running. I do understand that there's some kind of aggression on some of the opinions that people have, but it isn't a debate, okay? I do want to go back to that note, like I just mentioned, on that note, West Goshen neighborhood, opened up the meeting tonight because some of us have kids, some of us don't. But that's okay because our schools are a part of our community. West Goshen is a part of our neighborhood. Whether or not you have kids, there are kids around you, they're a part of our community, they're a part of who we are. And that's the real reason we brought you guys out tonight. I really appreciate all of you. Like I said, it's super nice. I was not able to go to any of the other former meetings and stuff that you guys held, like at the library and such. So I'm very grateful to have you. I do want to meet and talk with you. It's super quick before you leave, so just check in with me. As for the flyers, you may feel free to hand those out. Please give one in my hands, so I just have that information with me.
If you have any questions, just feel free, I mean, we all will talk.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight.